Welcome to another Torah Tuesdays. We are now on what is probably called the third commandment. Again, these commandments aren't numbered, so who knows, right? We know there's 10 of them, and there's all sorts of arguments. But what I'm going to call the third commandment reads this way: You shall not lift up the name of the Lord your God for perjury, because the Lord will by no means leave unpunished whomever shall lift up his name in vain or perjury. Now, you notice I read it as perjury because this is probably the primary thing involved here, is this concept of putting your hand on a Bible and swearing an oath, right? No, they didn't have Bibles, but they did actually lift up the name. They used the name Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, Yahweh, or however they pronounced it, not important, but they would use the name of God in an oath. And the idea was that, say you were suspected of committing murder, but there's no, the evidence just wasn't enough. You could actually swear on the name of your God and be cleared of those murder charges or whatever the charge would be. Why? Because it was believed that by swearing on the name, because the name is not the pronunciation, the name is the authority. And so by swearing on the name, on the authority, really on the honor of God, if you were actually guilty, then they understood that God would stand up for his reputation. He would stand up for his name, for his honor, and you would be found out and you would be punished and you would die because of this. Very serious. Now, with that in mind, there's another excellent application of this commandment, and it was brought to my attention by Dennis Prager, who does an amazing job talking about the 10 Commandments. And he brings up the point that there is no greater sin than the sin of someone who claims to be doing that crime in the name of God. I love that, right? That is what he proposes, and I agree, is probably one of the primary driving forces of this commandment, is doing evil in the name of God. Because what does that do? Think about it when you hear about a Catholic priest who molests a little boy. Compare a Catholic priest doing that to just some, average, I don't know if that's a thing, but to just an average ordinary person who's a pedophile and does that. Which is worse? Well, they're both horrific acts. But the fact that this priest is supposedly representing the character of our God brings that up to a whole nother level. It creates atheists. It creates people who hate the God that person represents, or claims at least to represent. And this is something we have got to take to heart. We who call ourselves the children of the living God, when we act improperly, we bring God's name into the acts, and we bring shame upon his name. Is he going to leave that unpunished? Is he going to just let it slide by? No, we are going to get called out, and we are going to get punished. Think about people who, like Achan, who steal things and bring shame on the name of God. Or how about this? The high priest, the Pharisees, the scribes, who decided that it was more important to try to protect the temple and Jerusalem by bringing false witness against Yeshua in order that he could be crucified on a Roman cross in order to protect their nation and their temple. You see, they thought they were doing God's will. And as the high priest, as the religious leaders, the Pharisees, they were supposed to be representing God to the nation, to the nations, to the whole world. What happens as a result? A generation goes by, 30, 40 years go by, and the temple and Jerusalem is destroyed. Can I propose to you? Because people who thought they had religious authority, who thought that they had the backing and approval of God, did a wicked and evil act in the name of God. And God is not going to let that stand by. God will stand up for His name. And so we, as people of the living God, need to remember when we are told not to lift up, literally to bear, to carry is what that Hebrew word means. When we are told not to carry the name of God in vain, it's not limited to the pronunciation. It's talking about proclaiming to be His people and then doing wicked, evil deeds in His name. Hey everyone, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this teaching, please do us a favor and go ahead and subscribe to this channel so that you can get future updates on new teachings that are available. And don't forget to check out the website, faithofmessiah.com, where you can find a lot of great teachings, as well as how to support this ministry. And if you'd like to invite Ryan White to speak, you can find out more information there. Shalom.